You can hear me? You can see me?
I can hear you, I can see you, and we're live.
Okay, great.
What's
Great.
up, guys? Welcome to our fourth stream together. Fifth stream.
Um,
We can't count very well, but
no, we're both terrible at
don't
counting.
don't hold that against us.
No,
Uh,
counting has nothing to do with either music or programming, so don't worry about it.
numbers and things like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just details. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming to hang out, chat, have adult beverages, have not so adult beverages, whatever you want to do. Hang out. We're gonna make some noise. We're gonna make some. Hopefully, people laugh. Maybe some cry. We'll see what happens. We'll just go from
So
there.
what are you drinking, Dan?
I'm drinking Coke Zero, but I'm not getting paid to show off this, so I really should say I'm drinking
Oh,
a black and red can of something. It's
you're
bad for
drinking a
you.
cola
It's
beverage.
bad. It's technically it's a diet beverage.
Okay, a diet cola beverage.
There's something we'll talk about that. And yes, we're really happy to have our buddy Brandon Bloom here in the chat with us on the stream. And the reason I asked him if he could join us is because we were going to play a little bit of the work that he did in the most. I think. Let me bite my tongue before I say for a fact. I think this is the most recent game that he worked on that's available released. Mage's Initiation. If I'm wrong about that, Brandon, please correct me. Yes. Okay, good. And you can check out the soundtrack in the game, which is a really cool adventure game made by Himalaya Studios. And he's also working on, yes, there's Brandon's site. He's also working on a game by a couple of people you guys may know if you're fans of adventure games. Lori and Corey Cole are making a game called Summer Days at Hero U, and he is the composer on that game. And I've gotten to hear a little bit of that stuff in some of the promo material they've made, and it sounds great. And I actually, the reason I asked him is because I think Mage's Initiation sounds great. Oddly, I think I bought the soundtrack before I bought the game, and I don't know why I did that, but I just did because I wanted to. And you can buy the soundtrack, or you can buy the game, or you can buy both. Probably better if you buy both. And I think it's available. You can definitely find it via brandonbloom.com, his website, but it's also on his Bandcamp page. I think that's where you actually purchase it. And he's also done some other really cool things. I listened to an interview of him with the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, or on the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. That was a few months back, I guess in the winter sometime. And he had talked about some of the earlier work that he did. And he did stuff that I was actually following or inspired by. I don't know what year it was, but it was all the at the time they were called Tierra, but then they changed the name, right? Because they couldn't use Tierra because they got permission from, or not permission, but they got their blessing from Activision to go ahead and make these remakes. And there's a couple of soundtracks you can actually download for free on his website. And one of them is for King's Quest 3. One of them is for Space Quest. I'm just looking at here. Yep, Space Quest original game soundtrack is free. The King's Quest 3. There's a whole bunch of music here. Bunch of free stuff. And it's pretty cool. And then you can buy the more recent stuff, the Mage's Initiation. Also, it's an awesome game. But we're actually, Julia and I, if you don't know who we are, I'm Dan Policar. This is my friend Julia Minamata, game designer extraordinaire. I'm a noisemaker myself, and we are going to make some noise live for Julia's upcoming game, The Crimson Diamond, which will be coming out on the official release date of when it's ready. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I think we're going to revisit some of the eavesdropping music in a little while and see if we can kind of hammer that out. And if you guys had joined us for earlier streams, we worked some on a specific scene of the game, and it had to do with eavesdropping, and that'll be pretty cool. We're going to work on some of that stuff again. And we're also going to share some thoughts about, other games and pieces of music and things like that. And we're probably going to get started on that in a couple of seconds. And Julia, did you want to add anything? I've been chatting up this whole time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just in chat I put a bunch of the links up for the main site for the Crimson Diamond, the Steam store page where you can find the demo for Windows PC or Mac, itch.io as well, itch.io. On Twitch. So Dan and I have been alternating live streams. So last week was an art stream. This week is a music stream, and next week will be an art stream too. And so my art streams are on my Twitch, which is _maple mystery. And so if you guys can follow me there, then I'll be streaming next week, and there'll be a preview today about what that art stream will be. And Dan will take care of that if he's remembered to put it in his OBS or whatever he's got.
It's not in my OBS, but I'll show it a little bit later.
Okay, cool. And also I put the YouTube as well. My channel, my Julia Minamata YouTube channel, is where all the videos get posted after the live streams are done, so that people who can't come or people who have to leave or whatever in and out, the whole thing will be up there. So don't worry about missing anything.
Yeah, and it's actually good for me because sometimes I forget things that I've said because I don't have a great memory, and I can just watch and see what's up. So it's cool. I'm glad we're having a bunch of you guys back, and the Deluxe Tux, good to see you back. Brandon, of course, we're very happy to have you, and we're going to probably start, with Brandon's piece. I wanted to just show, because what I've enjoyed doing the last couple of weeks is like showing like little pieces or clips of just stuff that I think is really good or inspiring, and musically and game wise. Last week or 2 weeks ago, right? 2 weeks ago, if you watch the replay, you'll see I showed a piece of the intro from Shardlight, which is a Wadjet game, but done by Francisco Gonzalez, aka Grundislav. And what else did I show? Could I show Quest for Glory 1, I think?
You did King's Quest 5.
King's Quest 5. I know I showed King's Quest 5, the Weeping Willow theme, because that's like my favorite thing ever. That's Mark Siebert. And I thought, what else did I show? Oh, I showed Ease from TurboGrafx CD.
Right.
Which has just an amazing intro from the early 90s, or might even be, the game is probably from the late 80s, but the version I showed was the CD version from the early 90s. And we might actually even show some of that music, or show how I think they made some of that music a little bit later. But let's get into some of Brandon's stuff first. So for some reason, I could not figure this out in my video editing. So you guys will just have to bear with me. I don't have it edited nice and sexy like I normally do. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I think it might work. Ah, there's Eden Wraith. He said, yes, the Weeping Willow theme was prominent in your last stream. Yes, that I knew. That I knew. I mean, that's been prominent in my life since the day I played that game. Anyway, let's jump over here, and we have this guy. So here's the intro. Great. Yeah, so I'm stopping it there because it does keep looping and looping and looping. But that's actually probably, I'm certain, in fact, I'm certain that's intentional. So I wanted to do like the gameplay and all that stuff, but if you do that at the beginning of the game, then you're gonna get the intro cut. So, and maybe we'll talk about some of that audio stuff on a later stream. But I think that's fantastic. Like that theme just nails so much stuff in a short amount of time. So, Wagwan, Sam Taki, you good? Finished cooking up dinner? Nice. So, anyway, Brandon, I have a whole bunch of nerd questions I want to ask, but I think I think that he actually used the MT32 at least partially on this. It certainly wasn't all MT32, but I think there was some MT32 in the soundtrack. I don't know if there was MT32 in this particular theme or if it was just incorporated into the soundtrack. Because if you play, I don't know if you played the game at all, but it very much looks like a later VGA Sierra game, I guess, or late. Is that the best way to put it? Probably not the best way to put it. 93, 94-ish, 92-ish game. Okay, there we go. So not in the main theme, but prominently in the Goblin theme. Okay. So can you give us a quick list of what instruments maybe you used in that soundtrack? Because I know you used some VST stuff, and for anybody who doesn't know, a VST is what we'd refer to as like a virtual instrument or versus a physical instrument. So what you see here on my left hand side, this is a physical keyboard. I don't know if you can't really see it too well, but this is a Korg Radius keyboard. That's makes sound itself. Whereas what I have in front of me, let's see if I can share it here. I got kind of a new view. I don't know. Uh, how about now? We have audio? Sorry. That was my fault. I added a new scene and I didn't fix that. So yeah, so what I was saying is this is a controller versus these other keyboards you can kind of see here in the background. Those are actual sound generating synthesizers, I guess. So VST, you'd need a controller or whatever, and you'd make sound via a computer. And a physical keyboard, you can just record. It makes noise itself. So I'm not sure. Let's see. So Brandon said it's in the style. Oh, for anybody who doesn't know, musically inspired is Brandon Bloom, aka the composer of Mage's Initiation and the other game that we mentioned, Summer Days at Hero U, which is an upcoming release by Trans Solar and Lori and Corey Cole, which is going to be awesome. Is there a penny whistle in the song? Eden Wraith said. That's kind of funny. Yeah, you thought I was just waving my fingers for fun, Eden Wraith. Well, I do that anyway. So yeah, I wanted to kind of know what maybe sounds and VSTs went into that, and then also how long you spent, because I thought the mix was really good, and I don't know if you guys know what I mean by mix. It's not such a big deal on MT32 because there's very few options. But if you're looking at like a Pro Tools screen, for example, or some kind of workstation that I would create in, Julia creates in Adventure Game Studio and in her mind. I create in my mind and on a digital audio workstation of some kind. Thank you, Deluxe Tux. That's the direct link to the album soundtrack. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to know what instruments that you used and how you mixed some of the music, because I thought it was really well done. I thought all the instruments were very clear, and I know typically, and listen, I'm not going to get into details of it, but typically the budgets for adventure games are not high. They're not the same as they are in, Spider-Man for PS4, right? Is that fair assessment? I think so. Okay, so he says the most prominent VST I used was Garriton Personal Orchestra, which I bought expressly for a Mage's Initiation when I was first hired for it. Also used Cakewalk's Dimension Pro plugin for some of the more synthy, and Cakewalk's Rapture plugin. So that's actually kind of impressive. That's really only like 4 cents. So I've been doing a similar thing. Well, I'll tell you this, Brandon. I have the East-West Composer Cloud, which is, we're going super nerdy here, but the East-West Composer Cloud is kind of like Adobe Cloud. You guys that do Photoshop or games or whatever, or Premiere, you have to subscribe to use their software. Julia is using a nice vintage version, retro version of Photoshop, so she's not a subscriber, but the stuff gets really, really expensive. So East-West provides a clouds-like service. Well, it is a cloud service of sorts. And yeah, I mean, I think the cloud, I paid $20 or $30 a month for it, and it was for a year. But I felt like it was something I might need working on Empire of Sin, so I just bit the bullet and did it. But if you buy all of that software, I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars. It's just ridiculous. And to be honest with you, the East-West libraries, to me, are not my favorite. I recently got a couple other ones, Cinesamples. Maybe I'll show some of this stuff off. Let me stop talking about it. Let me actually show some of this. So let's go here. Oops, we have this. And this is right now, this is set up as a template for MT32, which is what we're going to get into a little bit later, but I'll show you guys some of the sounds. So this is kind of, I don't have the same ones that Brandon has, but I'm going to show you maybe a couple of different instruments. And I think maybe I showed it a few weeks back, but it doesn't matter. We'll show some. So this is the Pro Tools software, if you don't know. Yeah, exactly. EGA text parser with a budget of $100 million. This is just some of the instruments that I have, and this is not all of them installed, but this is right here. This is thousands and thousands. And I don't use, some people use cracked software. I don't use cracked software because I can't afford to have my system go down at an inopportune time. And I would rather support the creators of the software because I want them to keep creating good tools for me to use. So there's this piece of software here called Contact. It's also really expensive. The software itself is not expensive, but when you get all these libraries that go inside of it, this is just one. It's literally a black hole of sound and all kinds of stuff. So this is a library that sounds like, the idea that it sounds realistic, like you can do real orchestra scoring in this kind of thing. Oops.
Cinewinds? Oh, I was thinking like winds, like blown winds. Like it means woodwinds. Got it.
Yeah. So the idea. Why am I not getting any output? Oh, hold on a second here. That's why. I hate when it does this. I had this problem before and I gave up. I gave up too easily.
I thought it was going to be just cinematic wind sounds.
No. I don't know why I always play Star Wars, but it just sounds so Star Wars-y, these particular sounds. So you can get like very realistic, sounding instruments, and the scores can sound almost like they're real. And if you watch certain TV shows or movies, some of these are used and you think you're hearing a real orchestra. So yeah, right. Bill Kuhn says he thought the same thing. John Williams, and yeah, I love John Williams. So this library. You don't want to know what these libraries cost, but Google them if you really want to know. You don't need the cursor on your face. So you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with this, but it gets really, 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 really expensive, tens of thousands of dollars. And the guy that really is responsible for this is probably Hans Zimmer. Let's look at one more quick library before. This is some of the stuff. I'll show it. I'll show it a little bit later. But some of the stuff I was using. I think maybe I showed this actually.
Yeah, what's the giant?
Previous.
I'm fascinated by what
The
these are.
giant is a piano that sounds kind of okay. It's not really.
I'm so let down.
It's okay.
I don't know what I was expecting.
So if you have some kind of reason to use that, I don't like it because it doesn't sound particularly like a piano to me.
Really?
I actually like to use. I mean, it sounds like a piano, but it's just not. It doesn't play. This. I'll show you my favorite piano sounding plugin. This is my favorite. This is called Addictive Keys. Oops, and I'm not selecting it, so that's why I don't hear anything. Yeah, Addictive Drums is great. The same company makes Addictive Keys and Addictive Drums.
So you're saying that this sounds like a better piano to you?
Yeah, to me it does. Now, listen, this is just one particular sample. There's a whole million.
Muffled piano?
It's like a horror. It's supposed to be like a horror movie soundtrack. Then this is
Oh.
Retro Grand, this is called. Then there's all these weird sounds, but I really like. This is a VHS one, so this kind of has kind of like a tape. Rude Dog 2000. Wow. Corey, what's up, man? I'm glad you're here. Yes, it was. Cheers. So yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with these synthesizers, and the upside is there's a million options. The downside is there's a million options. Like what was I listening to? Somebody said option anxiety. I think that was the phrase they used. So like you have so many possible different things you could do that you just get anxiety because you have too many different options.
Yep.
Cursors on
yeah, that's why I like the EGA color palette so much. I only have 16 choices to pick from.
Well, I think that's kind of key for what we're doing here, right? So the MT32 is super limiting, and that's what we're using. And EGA 16 colors is super limiting, and that's what you're using. And Adventure Game Studio even is a nice tool, but it's limiting if you're going to compare it to something like Unity or Unreal Engine. But at the same time, you're not doing a fully 3D. It's Nancy's not an FPS game, right? Crimson Diamond.
Not yet. Oh,
not going to be an
well,
FPS.
You're forgetting Chapter 7.
There's some arcade sequences and full.
Yeah, first person shooter in the
using
last.
the id
Yeah,
software, id engine 1 or something.
it's gonna look like Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, nice. That would be
Yeah.
cool. That would be cool. Well, we can send it to John Romero, and he'll comment on it. um, but yeah, so Brandon, let's go back to Brandon quickly because we're already going through our time. But I really liked what he did, and I thought also the song that he made fit really well. The songs, I should say, the music fit the game. The tone of the game really well. Like Julie and I kind of share ideas from once in a while, and every once in a while we'll come across like a trailer of a game or something that somebody's working on, and we'll hear it and watch it and say, "Geez, that sounds really cool, but excuse me, it doesn't really fit." You know what I mean? It doesn't fit the game. It doesn't make me more, what's the word that I'm looking for? It doesn't send me into the world of the game more. If anything, it removes me from it. Right? So the idea is that we want to, yes, sir, Sam Tacky. We'll see you in a minute. We want to kind of get you into the world more. We want to capture your imagination through the art, through the writing and the story, through the gameplay, but also through the music and the sound and immersion. There you go. Thank you,
Hmm.
so Vane. Yes, immersion. That's the key. That's the whole key. We're trying to make the experience immersive, even though it's 2020 and we're making a game that only uses 16 colors, less than 8 tracks of audio, and you know, you have to type. So that's the immersion. Yeah. And what did Brandon say? He said the most important factor and sometimes the hardest part of composing. You can make most complex professional arrangements, but if it doesn't match what's on screen in theme and pace and direction and whatever else, it's going to fall flat. The impression of music and the game and the art will all be lesser. 100%. So he said something. Let's talk about those things. It needs to match what's on screen, but not only does it need to match in theme, meaning not just the musical theme, but the artistic theme, the game's theme, the the it just has to match the pace. So how fast is it going? Is it need to be moving quickly at this point? Does it need to be slow at this point? I think also the theme and then the direction. So I think the theme and direction are kind of tied together in that they're like the feeling. What are you supposed to feel, or at least as a general thing, what are you supposed to feel at this point in the game? Or if you're scoring a movie, what are you supposed to feel at this point in the movie? And we're talking about games which are a little bit more of an immersive experience. And that immersive experience is also keyed by something we said at the end of the video when we were playing the song that Brandon did. It loops. That's something that doesn't really happen in movies. It happens in DVD menus if people still use those, but they don't. So let's be honest. We all stream our movies now anyway, right? Um, so yeah, I mean these are all important pieces of the immersive process. And Furroy says, "I'm lucky I got a friend who makes my in-game music for me." Yeah, it's not easy, and I think it's something that takes a little bit more time and effort than sometimes people give credit to. And our job is to really create and further that immersion, but also match the tone. And if you watch some of the earlier streams that we've done, we actually show parts of the process where Julia's kind of like, no, that's not really fitting. That's a little too dark and dim for what we're going for right now. So we're actually literally discussing that on the fly, which is really kind of the point of this whole streaming thing, which is cool. And we can discuss it not only between the two of us, but also between everybody watching, which is awesome. So, yeah, what does he say? Adventure games can use a ton of dynamics like that. Intro piece or the second piece that loops after its intro is quite common. Yep. Used in the Mages and King's Quest 3. And yes, and that's a feature of the software that you're using. Adventure Game Studio will do it. Unity does it. As you get more into advanced, or I shouldn't even say advanced. It's just more very technical, and well, it is advanced, but software. Like if you're developing a game in Unity, or if you're developing a game in mostly Unreal Engine. I would say Unreal Engine is probably the most commonly used AAA game engine. There is so many things you can do with audio and music in that software. And not only that, a lot of times you're not just doing it in the engine itself. There's something they call middleware, which is used in between the point of um, Unreal Engine and the audio. So if I'm working in a workstation, like you saw me with Pro Tools before, and I'll show it again later when we get there, you'll see me work there first. Then I'll bring some of that audio into a middleware like Wise or Fmod Studio. Then those pieces of software will talk to the game engines like Unity or Unreal Engine, or if a studio is using a proprietary engine, something like Spider-Man uses what Spider-Man used, the Sunset Overdrive engine, which was a modified. It's proprietary. You can't get it unless you're at that studio or whatever. So, but Unreal is available for everybody, and Unity is available for everybody, and all the middleware is available for everybody, which is really cool. But it gets very complex and time consuming, and you know, we're not there here. So, oh, you just got the Twitch email? I don't know. But yeah, we're glad to have you here. We're just getting started anyway. So I really want to say thank you to Brandon, because I like having other composers' opinions, and if you're listening and playing this game, it probably isn't happening on MT32 without his help, because he really is the one who showed me a lot about how to use DOSBox and get the librarian software working, and it gets crazy. So it even for this project, it's been a little nuts. Do you remember when we were having that conversation, Julia, at PAX East? I forget, it was with maybe Eduardo and Francisco and somebody else, and they were just like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? You have to do what to get this thing to work? Like, you're using DOSBox and Windows 3.1, and what are you talking about? We
Yeah,
make games in 2020. What are you doing? But it's pretty funny.
yeah. Thanks, Brandon. It's amazing. People, the knowledge that adventure game community has. There's so many people that know so much about all these kinds of really obscure things, and happy to help, which is so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think either of us have uh gotten as far as we have without help from members of the community,
100%.
you know. Um it's awesome. I like that. I don't understand why the music community isn't they are to a degree, but they aren't to the same degree. At least the performing side. And not in my experience. We help each other,
Mm.
but I guess we're always before, pre all this stuff, we were performing so many shows, we were hardly as the same instrument on the same job at the same time. So you don't usually see four piano players on one job. You see one. The horn players are lucky. They're always together. We're
Mm.
not so lucky. So what Furroy said something cool. He said something about seeing Fmod Studio on Dolores, the Thimbleweed Park minigame. Oh no, Eden Wraith said that. Yeah, you'll see it credited. You'll see Unity credited. You'll see Fmod credited. You'll see Wise credited. Depending on what game you're playing. I just was playing Chimera Squad, XCOM Chimera Squad recently. That game's really fun. And that used Wise as the audio engine, and it's not a huge game, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, and make a retro game use retro tech. Yeah, I agree with that to a degree, but we're using some of it. We're trying to use we're trying to use the MT32 to get the sound, but we're trying to use the modern Pro Tools versions to not be tearing my hair out over Windows 98 general protection faults and all kinds of stuff like that. So, yeah, the Tandy, that would be pretty cool. You even remade Stalker from Duke Nukem 3D and Tandy. Jeez. That must have taken a long time. Photoshop is cheating. And write it in assembly. Well, what year was the Photoshop version that you're using, Julia?
Oh boy.
It's early
Oh man.
2000s, mid
Let's
2000s.
see. No, 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 no. It
Yes,
can't
it
be.
is.
Actually, you know what? Maybe it is. Let's see. Photoshop
Yes, it is.
CS2. When did that come out? Oh boy. How old? How old?
I'm putting her on the spot right now. She doesn't like it, but I'm doing it anyway.
I have I've got a bad memory for time frames of things. So hold on. I'm
Eden
trying to
Wraith,
find
Eden
out
Wraith is saying around
when
2006,
did
2005.
Photoshop CS2 come out released.
Brandon also uses CS2.
Photoshop. Oh,
Oh
good.
five.
See, and then I know Francisco as well uses CS2.
Does he?
Yep.
That's great.
Oh, Photoshop released in 2005.
Oh, only 15
Yeah,
years. That's great.
only 15 years.
Illustrator 88. Wow. I don't know. You know, it's interesting too. Do you ever try Deluxe Paint or Deluxe Paint 2? Did you ever hear about that software? Um,
I've heard about it. I've never used it.
it was what a lot of people were using back in the day, and a lot of people loved because they said, I think was it Mark Ferrari in one of his talks? Somebody was doing a talk about palette switching, and he was saying Deluxe Paint 2 just did things that still some software hasn't been able to figure out how to recreate. Oddly, so Furroy just said something. I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. So on one of the art streams, because I've been using Photoshop CS2 for 15 years. Um, there was an eraser brush that I was using that I didn't know how to use non-anti-aliased, and a few people, a
Oh, you
couple
told
people
me
in
that.
chat,
Yeah, you
yeah,
showed me that. That's right.
yeah, showed me how to do that, and I was angry and happy at the same time. I was mostly annoyed,
Annoyed with
and
yourself?
yeah, annoyed I'd gone my whole life without knowing this very simple thing, and so for I said he used that non-anti-aliased eraser just
Oh, that's
in a
funny.
project he was on, and I'm glad it helped other people, and I'm still. I think I'm almost over it. It's only been like 3 weeks, so.
So that's funny. But you know what though? I think part of the thing is about these streams, for me anyway, is I'm kind of here to learn just as much as I'm here to show stuff. Like I want to learn stuff. I want to hear about what people are doing here. You know, like I know a lot of the guys and girls that are in our chat and are watching are developers, artists, musicians, and all of these things. So it's cool to kind of see their process and every once in a while pick up a nice tip and be angry at ourselves that we didn't know them for 15 plus years or whatever it is. An emotional roller coaster. There you go.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, Brandon, I don't know if you do any art stuff, but I don't touch it. It's just not. I can't do it. It would be nice. I did it when I was a little kid, maybe, but developers, 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 developers. So, with that said, I think that's kind of a perfect segue talking about the theme from Mage's Initiation to kind of jump into what we're trying to achieve in the stream here, which is trying to get this eavesdropping theme. And let's see here. There's one where I'm supposed to have both of us. Where is that? I have both of us here somewhere. I can't find us. How much of a kickback am I getting from SNK? I'm getting a 0 kickback from it. Oh well. No, that's Big Julia. That's still Big Julia. Well, we'll roll with this one for now. Yeah, so Brandon, now here's another interesting thing, just to quickly jump off this for 2 more seconds. This is this is the setup that I've been using for a long time, which is Pro Tools via the MacBook. And if you look at this, I'll show some. Oh no, I can't do that. I think it has my serial number. But
What's a
this is
DAW?
what's a
Bill wants to
DAW?
know, and I forget.
So let's type this in. Digital Audio Works. Oh, Brandon beat me. Thank you. Digital Audio Workstation, and basically, it's how we kind of create after tape or any kind of recording device. Back in the day, we used to use like a physical device to record to, right? So we used to record to like a tape machine, a tape player, way back in the day, a wax cylinder. I mean, that predates anybody that's here. Excuse me. But you would record to some kind of physical medium as opposed to now, you record to a digital medium, right? So the music is encoded in ones and zeros, and that's how this, and then it eventually will spit out the audio that you want it to. This is Pro Tools, which is one of the more common DAWs for mixing. It's not super common for composing because it's kind of clunky when it comes to composing, but I just know it really well, so I used it. But what I recently have done is kind of upgraded this PC that I have that I stream from, and I've upgraded it a lot. So my plan is to slowly migrate all the projects to the PC because some of the requirements for the scoring that I've been doing, the RAM, it just eats RAM like nobody's business. So this MacBook Pro has 16 gigs of RAM, and I'm constantly seeing the message, you're out of you're hitting the limit of your RAM, add more physical RAM. I'm like, okay, but this is already maxed out at 16 gigs. So, hi Anna, good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Anna.
I don't know why. Yeah, see, so Rude Dog 2000, nobody will know this, but him and I probably go back to like third grade or fourth grade or
Oh,
something. But also in high school, he knew me when I was working just, in my bedroom, literally, at my parents' house back in the day. And I was still running all this software and I had some hardware and whatever. Anyway, digital audio workstation is what most of us are composing in now. There are people recording to tape, but it's pretty rare because tape is just really expensive. I mean, that's what it boils down to is it's just cost. So this ends up saving cost. Even though the software itself is expensive, it just it's just more expensive. I mean, now to buy tape, you got to buy a tape. You got to have a studio that has a tape machine, or you have to buy a tape machine yourself. They're very expensive to buy. They're very expensive to maintain. A lot of studios don't even have them maintained. If you want to use them, they charge you extra. And studio time is expensive, so it gets crazy. Yeah, a lot of people that record a tape still use DAWs. Yes, and that happens. So what people do will cutting and splicing tape sounds like fun, Eden Wraith. Yeah, I don't know. I never did it, so I don't think it is. So I recorded to cassette tape, but I never recorded to like 2-inch tape, which is like it looks almost like film, like you would see. What do they call that? 35 millimeter or something like that. Anyway, so uh, this simplifies a lot of the process, and we can make all our edits a million times. And in some ways, the standard of recording has gotten better. In some ways, it's gotten worse because we have tools that can fix, like auto tune. People talk about auto tune negatively and positively, but it's been a positive thing because it's attuned everybody's ears more to how music should be tuned. And anyway, that's all craziness. So what we're working in here is Pro Tools, and we're actually really not using any of the stuff that's necessary or any of the stuff that Pro Tools like is good for. We're using it for MIDI, which it's really not good for. But we're just sending MIDI. You can't really see, but I have a MacBook here to my right, and behind this monitor screen is an MT32. So it's actually being sent to a physical MT32. Yeah. So my buddy Rude Dog 2000 says, "Yep, I had the best recording software back in high school and the best at making beats." Thank you. I don't know if I still am, but I once was. Oh, sorry, that thing's in your eye again. So, let's see here. So this is all set up already. This is already set up with sounds. This is the theme we were using before for the eavesdropping section of the game, which I don't think I have here. No, that's okay. I think last time, Julia, you were sharing it and you were sharing a scene of it while we were composing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that. Hold on. Let me start one of them up.
Oh, that's cool. So Bill Kuhn says, we had my dad's reel to feel. I'm sure he meant reel to reel connected to our sound blaster. The music came out of its speakers. It was a blast. A sound blast. Well, one day
It
I'll...
wasn't ad-libbing?
What? Oh, you
Oh.
didn't. She did. One day I'll show off some of the sound equipment and hardware that I that I have in here. Let's see. This is kind of a cool piece, though. Oh, let me switch views. This is a later one, but that's a Sound Blaster Audigy Platinum. And it's still sealed in the box because, I don't know, I got it sealed in the box, and that's cool. And back in the Windows 98 days, like this little front panel here, where is it? Here, was like the envious thing because normally you had to reach to the back of your computer to plug in all the cables and stuff like that. No, believe it or not, I think that that's a later box. I think that's 2000s, might be late 90s. But and I have a pretty huge collection of sound cards. I have stuff. I think the earliest thing I have is probably a Sound Blaster Pro. But those things are all cool, and eventually, and a bunch of computers too. I want to make some music with that stuff too. But I have had so many dang projects recently that I haven't been able to do that. Feroy said I still have my first air guitar from the 80s. That rules. And the Nomad jukebox. That was like an MP3 player of some kind, right? I had a Rio, a Creative Rio player, and it held 32 megabytes of music. Which was, if you squashed the encoding and made it sound really bad, you could get like 2 albums worth of songs on there.
Perfect.
So I just listened to Dream Theater on that every day. Okay, let's go back to our composing.
Okay. I have the game all set up. Do you want me to share screen for the game?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, let's do that.
One Dream Theater song. Well, if you had really low encoding, then it worked, but it sounded like crap.
Let's see if I can share the screen.
Oh, so vain. So that must be you, Nick, because yes, Nick actually got some stuff from me last time. He got some PC games and some hardware too.
Oh, right. I gotta turn on the...
I
actually got given a portable record player last summer. And what's really cool about it, it's like an old, I don't know, something Japanese, and you can play it like standing up, so you can have like the record on its like vertical or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. How does it work?
Can kind of put something on there. What's that? You say what you can do is you can kind of you put something on top of the, I don't know any of the record player parts, the middle part where the whole of the record goes. What's that called?
I'm not too sure. The spindle.
Okay, well the middle part.
The spindle, maybe.
Whatever that's called, the middle part. You can put like an attachment that keeps it from falling, like the record from falling off of it if you turn it side like vertical, and so you can kind of carry it around like a boombox. But it's for mostly like whatever the smaller size of records is, which is 45 to 33.
I think the smaller ones are
whatever the smaller size,
right? Yeah, the
45s. Okay. Yeah. So you know what? Actually, I can bring it down and show you guys.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, you can want to start on this first, or do you want to get super distracted?
No, I don't care. Whatever. We're kind of an open forum. Let's ask the people what they want.
Do you want to see an old Japanese portable 33 player? It actually plays 45s too, but you can't really play the 45s when the thing's standing up because like the records are too big.
I think everybody wants to see this damn thing.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna come. Dan, you can hold the fort.
I'll
for now.
I'll play some other stuff.
Okay, I'll be back.
So yeah, let's go back through this. I saw, yeah, for I'm not sure why that's happening. I don't know what the hell I did wrong. I don't know. I'll have to fix that. I'm new to this Twitch thing, to be honest. So yeah, 45s, and this is probably more for Julia, that 45 refers to the revolutions per minute. So the faster the little guys needed to spin faster, or they spun faster or whatever to play back accurately. So yeah, and Kisai Tenchi said 128 kilobit was roughly 1 megabyte per minute. So yeah, that's 32 minutes of music at 128 kilobits. And if you know anything about that, it does 128 MP3, 128 kilobits is bad. It just doesn't sound good. So yeah, I used to have one of those Fisher Price record players too, Anna. Is that the one that had the cover on it? It was like kind of brownish. My parents probably still have it. They didn't throw anything away. Oh, and then yeah, so for Roy, the tiny discs were called mini discs, and mini discs were actually fantastic. I believe they used a compressed format. Am I wrong about that? I think they used a compressed format of audio. Yeah, 8-track compression. There you go. But it sounded a lot better than MP3. A lot better. Yeah, so Eden Wraith, when you rip CDs, oh, you mean back in the day? Because I was going to say, if you do it now, you should just use lossless compression, um, because it's going to sound better. Yeah, and the sad thing is too, like with phones and things like that, you now lost the headphone jack, which is how it's supposed to get you the best sound through wired audio. Bluetooth just isn't, the technology's just not there yet. Yeah, and you can use compression. AAC is a good one. FLAC is a good one. We use, actually, for this game, we use OGG format, which is some kind of compressed format that Adventure Game Studio likes.
I am back. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah,
Oh,
we hear you and see you. Yeah. Here,
cool.
let me give you the big Julia view. There's the big Julia view.
Give me the big Julia. Okay. Okay, so this,
Oh, that's cool.
so it's a Columbia model GP3 portable player. And so what you have, you can play,
That's Japanese?
yeah, you can play power. So you can play, there's a thing down, where's the thing? You can play 33s and 45s. You can see the back here.
It's battery
It's actually
powered.
battery, because it's portable, because you can play it all portable.
What year is this from?
I don't know. I'm not. You can look it up on the internet, I guess. You look at
It looks 80s.
the model. GP3 Columbia. Okay, so I'll quickly demonstrate how this works.
I'm
So
shocked it'll play vertically.
What's that?
I'm shocked it'll play vertically.
It'll play 33s or 45s. Like there's a slider down here that can let you. But you can see when you play a 45, it's obviously going to be extend past the
Yes.
the box, so it's not I don't think it's recommended to carry this around with you and play it. But what I'll do, I'll show you how this works. It's really kind of crazy.
What do you got there? What kind of records you got there? We got to raise your record collection now.
I don't have much of a record collection. I was working on, I was doing this album cover and liner notes for Chuku, which is like a Japanese guy who comes to Toronto, and he finds like people who do like rap and stuff here, like Toronto and Scarborough, where I'm from.
Okay.
And what he does is he brings the music over to, he's got a record store in Japan, so he brings them over to Japan, and like they tour and stuff, which is really cool. And so this
like
one,
what, he'll like come over and he'll come to Toronto and get Drake.
Well, like Grassroots, he worked with.
Okay. Well, maybe before Drake was Drake, back when he was Aubrey.
Oh yeah, yes, of course.
Toronto rap Toronto has a really big music scene, believe it or not, and the choreographer that I've worked with for many years, Tanisha Scott is from Toronto as well, and she's
Oh, sweet.
pretty well known for um, doing the Hotline. She directed, she choreographed, and was in the Hotline Bling video for Drake.
Oh, seriously.
But she was also with Sean Paul for many years before that, and still
Oh
works with
man.
Sean.
Yeah,
So
the scene is
lovely
really really
person.
good. Like I'm not really into it because I don't know that music very well. But yeah, like
Sure.
so this guy Chuku. So he works with my friend. I got a friend, Mr. Rome, and this guy Roger, who goes by Mr. Attic. And Attic got nominated for Juno, I think, which is the Canadian Emmys. But anyway, so here you put this thing in the middle because it's a 33. It's got a bigger hole, and then you get this other piece, and you kind of slide it on here so this thing doesn't fall. So you can kind of hold this thing up like this. And then you turn this thing on. 33, right? You said 33?
Yeah, it doesn't have to
Okay.
be. Well, oh, you mean the small one? The small one needs to be played at 45. Yeah.
Oh, 45?
Yeah.
Okay. Switch it to 45.
You
Okay.
know what 33 and 45?
Original. The greatest
Oh my
currency is
God,
time,
it plays
unforgivable
vertically.
with love, unconditional. These raps so nutritional. Value with a mind state, a way that's invisible.
And
Hard
take this on the
times
bus with
inspired
you.
Wow.
and benefit to the struggle we committed, how we get through them 9 to 5 interviews.
Anyway.
That is fantastic.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to share that because yeah, it's something cool. I never really got a chance to show people, and I didn't know such a thing
Oh
existed.
my God. Yeah, I think everybody wants one of these things now.
Oh, they're available. Like what he actually does, Chuku, he buys them in Japan and then he brings them to Canada and sells them for like $50 a pop, I think. So they're not expensive.
The players, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you can buy these at record stores, is what I'm told. I've never gone looking for these things, but they have better ones now. Like this one's got mono sound, so you can get ones that are nicer. But like I was given this one for free because I was working with him, and I'm like, I'll take it. This is awesome.
That is awesome. Eden Ray says Julia brought her music game to the music stream. Damn
Yeah, I
right.
wasn't even planning on this. I'm sorry, Dan. I kind of derailed this.
No, that's great. I think you derailed it greatly because at the end of the day, we're sharing this process, but I think it's important for people to hear and see influences, and other just also other cool stuff, cool stuff
So
like,
now I gotta buy records, right? So
well, I don't know. You could. I can't believe that thing plays vertically. That's
yeah.
mind blowing to me. How many seconds of anti-skip protection does that thing
I have no idea. I should have
have?
started shaking it, right? No, I don't know.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
It'll ruin the needle.
So
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
I like that song. That was a good song.
Oh, they're really great. Yeah, I should show you what their stuff is. I actually the latest album they did I did the cover for, and it's really really good. Like I'm not big onto rap, but it's not 100% rap, and I love the album actually.
Well, I've spent essentially my entire career working with rappers and hip hop
I was
artists. I mean, pretty much. That's where I started. I spent a long time working with Fabulous. I started with him in like 2009 or something, and I still work with him from time to time. So, yeah,
let's see
the hip hop stuff is strongly influences me.
let's see uh it's this guy. Oh, are you gone or you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here.
Did I hang up on you?
No, I'm
Okay, good.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. This guy. Oh yeah, so okay, so here it is on this for some reason he only has one album on Disney Music album cover I did, and I don't know if you can listen to it. How the heck? I don't get it. Can you list to them on here? I don't know. Maybe not.
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And sometimes, we got to be careful because some of these songs will shut these streams off. They'll shut the audio off on our streams.
Yeah. Let's see.
Which I've
Actually, well,
seen.
if you look up Mr. Attic on YouTube, you should find him.
Mr. Attic is the artist?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And he's local Toronto artist.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brandon said I recently thrifted. I mean, we can't, how recent? We can't do any thrifting where I am. Sierra inspired him to write music. Wow, really? I wonder if that's the case for me too. Sierra's probably like the earliest. I don't think it was Sierra that inspired me to write, but I mean, as I said a couple weeks ago, the Weeping Willow Mark Siebert tune has been in my head since the first day I heard it. Like, we're talking about what year was that? 92, 93. So that's a long time. 27 years. 1990, 30 years. It's been in my head for 30 years. Hey, you can't waste a good theme, right? Yeah, that's what it is. Nice. Yeah, I mean, vinyl's really kind of a cool collectible thing, and I wasn't sure it was going to get so collectible, but it's just keeps getting more and more collectible. It's weird, like video games. I thought the market was going to, the bubble was going to burst, and everything was going to be cheap, and be able to go buy all my big boxes for pennies on the dollar, and nope, they just keep going
Nope.
up. They just keep going up in price.
Do you
I
have
can't
vinyl,
believe it.
Dan?
I have a fair amount. Yeah, I have a fair amount, but most of it is I have a couple of things that are albums I've either toured on or worked on, and then a lot of it's classical, believe it or not, because I listen to a lot of
Nice.
classical music. I guess if I would listen to music, it would be mostly classical. Sometimes, even though I don't really work in classical, I don't have that skill set to be a classical pianist. I would love to be, but it's just it's a whole nother animal. So anyway, let's jump back to where we were.
Oh yeah, I'll screen share the game.
You still have the cassette tapes of the recorded Sierra music? Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's cool that the guy, Space Quest historian, recently did a vinyl of Space Quest and a cassette tape of Space Quest. And I think it was Space Quest 4 that he remade, and he put all the music. He reorchestrated it, which I wasn't too sure, but that was his process. And he actually is a composer as well. He's working on another adventure game. So yes, nice. Brandon got the vinyl LP and EP, and there was a cassette tape as well.
Yes.
So interesting. So we are currently now playing Crimson Diamond at Julia speed.
Yeah, turbo speed.
Now, why? Can you just tell the people why you
What do
play
you mean?
why you play at turbo speed?
Doesn't everyone play turbo speed? I don't know.
Nobody plays at turbo speed.
No, I don't know. I guess
you don't play other adventure games at turbo speed, do you?
I play the highest speed.
Really?
Yeah, usually. Well, what do you mean?
Man.
Why not?
I never
Time
do.
saving.
Yeah, but it just doesn't look right to me. Turbo. It's not really turbo. It's show the sliders off. Or do you have the new sliders in here? Oh yeah, look at
yes.
that. Look at those beautiful things. So this was a complaint that an annoyance I put in Julia's ear, which was, hey, can you make sliders for sound effects and music separately?
Which is such an unreasonable demand.
Okay. And actually, she did it in like a day or something. Didn't take you very long.
No.
And then there's the speed slider, so you can put it in fast or slow. King's Quest 1 in fast mode. Yeah, you sprint, and your guy doesn't stop. He keeps going screen after screen after screen. And, you know, this one is different because I've seen a bunch of interviews where you said, well, why don't you just let the key press, why don't you let the person keep going? But you said overwhelmingly people in testing didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Right? So basically they didn't understand that that's how it's supposed to go. So,
but it's an option. I made sure that you can keep it an option.
Eden Ray said, the sliders are just placebos for Dan. They don't do anything. Exactly. It's just to shut me up. There'll be a diet soda at some point as well to keep me shut up. So let's go back to where we were. Where is we need to get to an eavesdropping scene.
Yeah.
And you don't have the music on at the moment, or you don't have it
playing? I do not.
Okay.
I turned that slider down, right?
So let's just hear what was there. Do you mind turning it on?
I think.
Is it off?
I think it's the old. Oh, hold on. Let me just try. Actually, I don't even know if you'll hear the music from mine. Let's see.
No, because it's not part of the stream or whatever. No, we're not hearing
Potentially.
anything. Yeah.
No?
No, nothing there. That's all right.
Okay.
Because we decided against using it anyway, so.
Well, we decided that it might, if we can't use it as it is, we can adjust it or do something else. Or
Well,
it's
that's
up to
kind of we're basically using it as inspiration, right? That
Yeah.
makes sense. Oh, now we've talked about this before. So there is a little piece of music at this point happening, and my job as a composer is to listen to the demo or the scratch track or whatever it was that Julia put there, because it's very important for me to listen and understand where her head is at, right? So in addition to capturing the theme, the feeling, the pace of all these things, I really also have to capture the developers or the designers' intent. So if she put a demo there, it's not a good idea for me to throw that out and ignore it and just do my own thing. It's a smart idea for me to pay attention to it and, compose that way. Oh, Anna said she literally just got the notification of the stream. I don't know. Maybe there's something up with Twitch today. All ad lib. I like this discussion we got going on here with Brandon. He's talking about a lot of good stuff here. It's pretty cool. I'm glad he was able to jump on with us because I really like what he did. So now we're at a point where in this, can we do a little setup? Can you give them a little setup of what's going on here in the game if they don't know?
Sure. So what's happened so far is you have traveled to this lodge in the middle of the night, and it's about to be dinner time, but before dinner time comes, you need to introduce yourself and meet the other characters in the lodge. And so those are the first two people were in here. And there's some opportunities, not just this one, but there's this opportunity and another opportunity to listen in on some conversations, to sort of get an idea of what people are talking about and what they're thinking about before you actually get really into the game after dinner happens. So you kind of get the impression that there's some stuff happening behind the scenes that you might be interested in finding more about.
Because Nancy is the eavesdropping. We were trying to figure this out, right? She's not a peeping Tom, but she's like a. She's
an eavesdropping Ellie. I don't know.
Can't use Ellie. That's my daughter's name. Something else.
Okay, eavesdropping Eleanor.
Eleanor. Okay, I'll buy that one. That's not her name. Peeping Tom isn't even an alliteration. Yeah.
Okay, it could be eavesdropping. Oh.
Nosy Nancy.
Nosy Nancy.
Which is an alliteration, though. Well,
it isn't. Right. It is.
She is definitely a nosy Nancy, though. Without a doubt. That's like her whole MO, right? She's just a nosy, but also ambitious, aspiring gemologist. Do I have that right?
Or mineralogist.
Mineralogist. Not geologist. Mineralogist.
Yeah, more mineralogist.
Can you explain?
It's just the thing is people don't really understand what that means sometimes. So sometimes I say geologist, but she's more of a mineralogist.
But can you explain the difference for simple folk like myself? The difference between a geologist and mineralogist?
Okay, well, I would say that geology is more concerned with like the actual geologic history,
like
of
tectonic
the
plates
Earth.
and stuff.
What's that?
Like tectonic plates and things like that.
Yeah, like tectonic plates and like how things developed over time and the history of the Earth basically is what I consider geology. And mineralogy, I would say, not to say that I'm actually like reading anything right now on Wikipedia, but just off the top of my head, I'd say it's sort of the study of like minerals in general and their habits and where they occur, and how to also survey for them and all those other things that to do with it.
So
I see mineralogy.
It fits Nancy perfectly then. And
it's more of like an industry centered maybe thing than geology. I mean, they work hand in hand a lot of the time, but geology, mineralogy would be more about finding different minerals and be specifically about the minerals as they occur and not just sort of like the big picture of what the Earth is.
Right. And gemology was pointed out for me. Gemologist is for wearable. It's like for jewelry, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. Nosy Nancy, hey Tom.
Tom says
to see
that there's an actual Urban Dictionary entry for Nosy Nancy. Nice. So we can't use it, apparently. Or maybe we can. I don't know. Everybody thinks it's the bard, but the mineralogist is the real rock star. Hey-o.
Oh.
That's a bad one. I like it. You're in the right place for Roy. Definitely.
Oh no,
Oh,
the deluxe tux is geology is nasty, but mineralogy is nice.
Oh no. Gosh.
Oh.
You guys are really in the right place. You're with the right people.
There are a few rock puns in the game, but you don't get to experience them in the demo, unfortunately. You're gonna have to wait for the full release.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're trying to kind of give Nosy Nancy a little bit of a theme, right? We're trying to put a theme not to Nancy herself, but to specifically Nosy Nancy, because there's different types of Nancy. There's legitimately curious mineralogist Nancy, but then there's Nosy Nancy who's just wandering around with cups, sticking them on doors, trying to hear things. I hope that's not too much of a spoiler, but
no, it's all in the demo,
you'll
so
figure it out in the demo.
I think it's all good.
Right.
Yeah.
So, King's Quest 2015. Is that even? Anyway, we won't talk about that one. Yeah. So our idea is we need to get some kind of Nosy Nancy theme. So here's the tough part that I personally felt was difficult for me. I'm trying to achieve something that has a little bit of mystery in it, but not much, because it's not like she's going to go hear somebody and, the whole room is getting murdered or something like that in one of these scenes. It's like they're just discussing something, and even after the discussion, at this point in the game, you're not really too sure what they're talking about, right? You hear they're like up to something, but they may not be up to something because you're only overhearing a piece of the conversation. And
yeah, it's mild curiosity.
Mild curiosity, but it's nosy. I mean, for sure. Like if imagine this, put yourself in her shoes. Like you are a person that just walked into a mansion that you're going to be staying at with a whole bunch of people you don't know, never met, and you're staying only for one night because something along the lines of they don't want you there, right? Is that essentially it?
Mm-hmm.
And they initially tried to turn her back, but they couldn't turn her back or something like that. I think in the beginning of the demo. Is that right? Am I saying this right?
Well, so the idea being is, yes, she's going to stay the night, but then they're expecting her to take the train back to the city in the morning because she had thought. Yeah, so she had thought that the lodge was an inn, and it used to be one, but it's been closed down, and it's now just a private residence. So, as a hospitality measure, they're letting her stay the night and telling her that she needs to get back on the train tomorrow.
And back in 1914, something like that might have happened. Like, it's possible people were actually nice, and not everybody was a serial killer and taking advantage of things, and people left their doors unlocked, and all kinds of stuff, and the dogs and cats live together, all those types of things.
Exactly.
So I saw a question that said, are there going to be different orchestrations based on the mood of conversation? So that's a good question. I don't think the orchestrations, I think it's a combination. So let me back up. I think yes. That's yes. But it's also going to be not just the orchestration. It might also be the theme change. And we could show something like that. So yeah, will that eavesdropping theme get more mysterious as the game goes on, or would that be revealing too much? Well, as of right now, I don't know the answer to that question, but I would think so. I would think it would change. Now let's just say, for an example, like let's take. Did you guys ever anybody ever play Civilization for Windows 3.1, the first Civilization? Because there's a little cool sound that when you win, it would go from a minor chord, to a major chord, and the same tonic, the same root, if that makes sense. I know I'm getting a little musical, but if you won the battle, if you lost the battle, it would go like this. So it went from minor to major, major to minor. I can't even speak. So let's see. I saw a whole bunch of chat blowing up, and let's read here some. It says, yeah. So, yeah, we may have a variation, and I don't know. I don't think it's revealing too much. I mean, obviously, this is going to be an important. The eavesdropping is going to be an important thing that happens in the game. Like you have to eavesdrop in order to advance the game. I think. Can you avoid eavesdropping and
Yeah.
still advance the game?
There's going to be at least a couple examples where you're
can't.
going to need to, but it's going to be mostly optional, I would say.
Yeah, so he said maybe Jack's not a complete jerk and decided to abandon Nancy and Kimmy at the train station. Yeah, and I think back in 1914, a courtesy that wouldn't be something that you would do, especially because she's a woman. And, you know, life was different in Canada and America in the early part of the 20th century. Yeah, you could not call the train station or your friend on a cell phone. No, you couldn't. There probably wasn't even a phone at all at the train station. I don't know. What,
no, there isn't. No.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a telegraph machine
a
there,
telegraph
but it
machine, right? Let's see. In Colonel's bequest, they used the same looping music during the trip to the island for the snooping music. Yeah, and I don't know. It's hard to say because in those earlier games, like there was so many different things that dictated how they worked, and it wasn't just always budget, but it was time. It was how much work or how much is this possible to implement in the game? Like how much space does this take up? Like how much disk space, literally? There's a lot of things like that. So, you know, I'm happy to be contributing extra disk space to this game. disk space to this game. And I think you know, we're using OGG files, which is it's a compressed format, so it should take up less than, you know, crazy amount of space. And maybe we haven't decided how it's going to all be sold yet and available for download and whatever. And maybe there'll be higher quality format. Who knows? We don't know yet. We're not there yet. So let's see. I'm just there's all this. We may have a variation. We've got a job for you at corporate PR. Good. I need one. Okay, so let's see. Somebody said you can. Somebody said this past week you can finish the Colonel's bequest in only 4 typed commands.
Yes, I said that.
Oh my God! Really?
Yep, I tested it. Actually, I didn't test it. I just kind of was looking around and figured that out myself, and so that's how I know that.
Oh my
that's
God!
the case.
That's amazing.
So it's a very light parser game. I'm parser game now.
Yeah. So let's see. Would there be hope of having a soundtrack released in MT32 compatible standard MIDI format? So Brandon, maybe you can answer this question. I thought about doing that, but I can't send. Then I can't send messages. Can I still have the display read messages? No, AGS definitely wouldn't be AGS. AGS can do MIDI, but so yeah, so I can send sysx in a MIDI file. I thought about it. I may. It depends. It just depends on time. And believe it or not, I've been working on another video game that's coming out later this year that I'm going to talk about later at the end, which we're quickly approaching, called Empire of Sin. That's actually occupied a lot of time. I didn't anticipate it was going to, but I'm thankfully working on it a whole lot. And that game's coming out sometime later this year. So that it just depends on the amount of time that I get to implement a lot of MT32 sysx and trying to send things back and forth. Maybe with some help, it might be possible. Yeah, AGS does it. Nobody does because it's just too much work. It just takes too much time to get like for law of diminishing returns effect. Like Julia's not going to hear if I sent messages to an MT32 because she doesn't even own an MT32. So she'll hear the music that sounds like it, but yeah, it just becomes tough because of time, the time crunch. First of all, I want to make sure the game is this game, not Empire of Sin. Both games really are scored properly, you know. So that's my first job is to just nail the score. Then I can worry about if I can do cool stuff with the MT32 specific files and things like that. But Julie and I have discussed some things. We've discussed some things. It's just we're not at a point where we know anything exactly other than that the game is going to be released on the day that it's ready for release. Right? We know that.
Right.
So, back to this theme, we want to have it a little bit nosy. I guess nosy is the right word for this theme, right?
Yeah. I would say nosy. And the tone, as we said, is important.
It's mysterious, but it's only like a tinge of mystery.
Yeah, it's inquisitive. It's curious, I would say, at this point.
Inquisitive, okay, but there's also some element of mystery, a slight element of mystery.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was I actually would I on Twitter today. Someone was looking at had only discovered the game today after I did a tweet for some kind of a pitch thread, and he said, "Oh, this is exactly like a warm blanket." You know, the look and feel of the game. It's like very warm, blankety. And so so it's the idea of that cozy style mystery we were talking about, where it's a nice, comfortable thing you curl up, you know, in a comfy chair with, and you know, you've got a nice hot cocoa, and you've got, you know, the fire going, you've got, you know, a nice comfy blanket on top of your lap and all that. Just that
coffee
feeling,
with Baileys or something like that.
What's that?
A coffee with Baileys. You ever try that?
Yeah, exactly. Something you're just gonna, you know, I do quite like that.
Yeah.
I like hot alcoholic beverages. There's something called a blueberry tea, which is like I think an Earl Grey tea, and on the side they give you like a little thing of a mix of amaretto and the orange one.
Yep, there you go. The orange one is
and it's very nice.
Triple sec.
I don't remember. Yeah, but yeah, I like enjoying that because you kind of put in a little bit of alcohol and it's nice and warm, and it's something I do like the warm alcoholic beverages.
So here's an interesting thing. The Devor just said, "I would love some high-pitched staccato stuff for a tiptoey feel." Well, you know what that makes me think of?
Ooh.
Quest for Glory 1, the goblin the goblin area. And there's a little thing that they something like that. It would work, but again, this game is kind of, believe it or not, for me, difficult because it's not fantasy, it's not space, and most synthesizer stuff very much jumps to one of those things or the other. So it's got there's no swords, there's no laser guns, there's no unicorns or flying dragons or any of that stuff, right? There's just people. And it's in the early part of the 20th century, so it's not even like there's a whole amount of different kinds of music they can play. So yes. So let's see. Yes, leitmotif thing. Yes. So leitmotif for sure. That's going to be happening, and that's thanks to Francisco and one of the discussions we had at the game meetup that he does in New York. Well, we did before everything. So here's what we had before. I love how you're just sprinting around the room. Like that wouldn't.
I felt like it was too static before, and I wanted to make it more interesting for people to look at.
Maybe that wouldn't upset the two guys there sitting there. That doesn't make them nervous at all. Yes. So I think that was the problem with this theme. That this theme is cool, but the question is it too dark? And we had originally, I think we had, thanks Brandon, appreciate that. He likes it, appropriate or not. We had this little chordal thing going on too. This one sounds like you discovered a dead body. Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Interesting. The boding tone of lung cancer. Well, that's weird. Yeah, so I think maybe we have to go a different direction. So let's just we're gonna save what we have here, but we're gonna mute it for now.
I definitely think it has a place in another part of the game, but maybe just not here.
So here's the question. So you have minor keys, you have major keys, right? There's a minor key, which people typically associate with sad. There's a major key with people typically associate with being happy. Too much. Too fantasy. How'd they just finish dinner?
I cheated.
You certainly did.
I did, but whatever, if anyone saw the cheat that I just did, it's not available in the demo version, so you can try it and it's not going to work. And I just did this because there are other eavesdropping here that you can do.
So the cheat, though, it's not really a cheat as much as it's a developer tool, right?
Yeah, it's a developer tool.
Yeah,
I call them a cheat, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I feel like that's not working. Maybe the key's wrong. That's like too Billy Joel. No. I don't know. Diminished is tough. Diminished note. You know, my favorite chord is the half diminished chord for the music nerds. Yeah, it's got too much. Major seventh. Maybe Lydian. Something Lydian might work.
What's Lydian?
So, normally in Western music, you're using the major scale or the minor scale. I have various versions of that. Let's just do natural minor. Lydian is actually, what's the easiest way to describe it? It's basically taking, let's take in the key of C. It's taking the scale, but starting from, instead of using the notes of the C major scale, but we're starting on the 4th degree, but we're calling that the root. So we're starting on F. What the hell is going on? So it has a raised 4th in the scale if you're getting really, really nerdy. So a Lydian mode, yes. So you can get like something like a D chord with a C in the bass, which is like what they call a polychord. I'm trying not to get too crazy, but it just Lydian is a very common used movie scoring tool. Yeah, music theory. Exactly. So can you go back to one of the eavesdropping? I want to try to find something.
Sure.
I feel like maybe the pacing that I have is wrong. So there's what Brandon said. Pacing is important. That's too mysterious, too much, too anxious, I think.
Have you listened yet to the Father Brown intro music?
The which one?
The Father Brown intro music. I recommend it. It's very
I don't know
cozy
if I have.
mystery. Ooh, I like that. It lightens it up, you know?
Yes, but does it have? So I think that's okay. Good point. It needs a little bit of lightness, so it has to find a major key. It just seems too. Doesn't seem right to me. Something's wrong here.
Brandon says major key and hit a minor scale note once in a while. I'm getting 2 musicians for the price of 1 right now. I feel pretty lucky.
Well, it's augmented is not going to work.
Furroy recommends reversing the polarity of the neutron flow.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That sounds. I'm liking that.
I think we're onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
What he said, 7/8 time, no easy feeling, 4/4. Okay.
Brandon says it's not so too fast, so it's not anxious, but it's not too dark. Yeah, I think it was going a bit too fast before. It probably makes it feel more anxious.
I
Ooh.
don't think 7/8 is going to work though. It's pretty crazy. The thing is, I want to try to not go 2, 3, 4 either because we have the waltz in there for the dinner already.
True.
But we could. I don't know. So.
Sounding a bit sad.
Too sad?
Hmm.
How do we get it? Not to 1914 though.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He said that old guy's gonna be so drunk. Yeah, so one thing that seems kind of tough is making the pieces feel time appropriate enough. Yeah, well, that's part of the job. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I like I said, this is tough because there's no swords, there's no space guns, there's no aliens. You know, because then I can just go nuts. But you got to kind of keep it pretty, you know, pulled back. Let me try a different sound. Maybe that'll help. No. What about an adaptation of the main theme? That'd be quite cool, right? Let's try this other sound. I don't know if it works, but it's kind of a cool.
It is cool, but yet the trumpet's not.
No, I don't even think the sound. I mean, just that would be kind of cool at some point in the game. Maybe not here, but that would be cool.
Yes, I totally agree.
See, that's all of a sudden we're in. We're already in living on a prayer. No, we don't need to be there.
I can't believe you haven't played Halo yet.
I could.
No, that was an invitation.
Yeah, so it's really not. What's up, Classic Gamers Guild? It's really not. That's the thing. It's not a triumphant theme. It kind of has to be something you hear, and just gives you a mood, but doesn't really lead you too far, right? Does that make sense? Am
Yeah.
I using terms that make sense? Am I using language that makes sense? Because a lot of times, check this out. This is a process that really doesn't have words. You know, so see, that's too, you get too caveman. Too much. Something with few notes. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. What if we looked at, because we have a theme here already. What if we just tried playing it with nothing else? Lost look, thank you. Yeah, it works, but I still think maybe we got to find a different melody. What do you say? Maybe something with low and a few high notes here and there. So we're trying to make it a theme, though. So I think you start to get into the underscore area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually like your melody so much that, and I feel like for the era of the game that it would have been more melodic. So I don't know. I feel like I want to keep it there.
Yeah, this kind of does have a little bit of a Zelda vibe to it, Corey. Sorry, Rude Dog. Actually, my buddy Rude Dog has a channel called Cooking with Rude Dog, and I don't know if it's just as amazing as I think it is, because I think it's hilarious. But I know him for so long, and he's always been a funny dude. He actually taught me how to drive, believe it or not.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, Brandon, dude, thank you so much, man. That's awesome to have you as part of this. It was great. You added a lot, and we're happy to share your music and keep up the good work, dude.
Yeah, man. Have a good night. If we're off by the time you come back, have a great night, and thanks for coming. I like the warmth. I want there to be that warmth in there, because they're in the lodge. It's a nice place.
I think we're onto something here. So let's do this. Let's save this, and then let's save this as part 2, because we're gonna have to change the tempo. And we can orchestrate it. So we're just playing it right now. Oh, you took a 2-week break from cooking. Next week we'll be back next week. Yeah, I enjoy it. Rude Dog, he drinks some beers and he cooks some stuff that he's never cooked before, or he has cooked before, messes it up, makes it right. It's pretty cool. I want to make some of that stuff. Or drink some of it. There was a Bloody Mary's the other day. It had a lot of interesting ingredients I never would have thought of. So now I got to make sure my click track is on. It is not. That's too fast. Yeah, it's supposed to be in the hallway. You're like eavesdropping. That is too fast. Let's try 105. This is going to be too slow. Oh, good Lord, man. How long are the eavesdropping on average? What would you say the average reader takes to read through? Like,
good question.
30, 40 seconds?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I might guess that.
Oh, thanks, Lost Look. No, here's the thing. Believe it or not, I started as a music teacher. So, and I still teach from time to time, although I don't get as much time now as I used to. So yeah, I'm totally willing to engage, and I think I learn about it too. So I'm cool with it. It's also good to have feedback. Yes, and I'm definitely engaged in making it, because I love playing the games just as much as anybody else. That's why you see on the back wall all these dang
your treasures.
boxes, and this is only some of them. There's ton more. Sylvain knows there's just boxes on boxes of this stuff. But yeah, so I think we're on to something here. I still think it's too fast.
It might be a bit too fast. It still might be a touch melancholy.
Could be the sounds too.
Because I like when you go in with that brightness.
So here's the thing. There we go. Thanks, Lost Look, and thanks, Classic Gamers Guild. Much appreciated. Exactly. Let me do it one more time. So at least that's kind of a complete idea. Yeah, so therein lies the problem, Classic Gamers Guild. So the sound. Oh, it's the sound. Okay, so not so much the melody. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to find a period accurate sound that doesn't go too jaunty, because for this part of the game you don't want jaunty. And we haven't put it in the game yet, but we introduced, if you watch one of the previous streams, that we have a jaunty it's not that song. I did a ragtime song that'll be in the game at some point, probably in the intro, probably when you're driving in the car in the intro of the game. But it's not finished yet. So we'll get that finished and then we'll get it into the game. But yeah, this part doesn't really want to be too jaunty, I don't think. Let me just record this idea and see if it works. Oh, I need a click.
I forgot to turn my own music off, so I couldn't hear your music through that. It's sad. It feels sad to me.
Maybe. Let's try.
This has been the hardest one to do so far out of the three that we've done, because the waltz was like a home run. You just with minor adjustments, and the theme, I think you had it fully formed.
Yeah, the metronome, that's okay. That's just for me to be able to properly record. You won't hear the metronome in the final thing. Sorry, I just need that for me.
Yeah, the Davor is asking what emotions should it have, and yeah, it should be intriguing and curious. She's just come here, and she's basically trying to kill time before dinner, and so it's sort of she's a naturally curious person. So when she hears these people's conversations, it's kind of, ooh, this is an interesting thing that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Without actually thinking she's ever going to do anything about those things. It's not really about that. It's just in general, she's like, oh, this is interesting, information. Yeah, it just lights up her brain. It just tickles her curiosity, really.
Yeah. So the question is, should we go back and listen to the music that's in there, or should we keep going? Because I agree with you. I like this piece, but again, I don't know if this is working.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because any major that doesn't really seem right to me. Minor, that doesn't really seem right to me. Yeah, so DJ Megahammer, what's up? Nice to
Oh,
see you.
hey.
And yeah, something fourth C and ambiguous. So that could be work. I don't know.
Do you want to go back to the original, as you call it, scratch track? And just hear what that one was like?
Which one? The one that I did?
No, the Great Canadian Tune Book piece that
Yes.
was
Where?
in the
How
very,
can
very
we
original.
access it?
Oh, you don't?
I don't know if I have it
That might
handy.
be.
I must have it, but I don't know where exactly it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy
Let's
sitting on the
see.
couch. Sincerely, Evan on the couch. I mean, the guy on the couch.
Let's see. Let's see if I can make this work for me. Because I do have it. Like, I've got a playlist of the stuff I play when I'm doing the art stream, and so I'm wondering if I can I play music off of this to show you? And the thing is this song is going to be the one you hear the most in the game, probably, so...
Yeah. Maybe it has to have
That's
an
a thing.
opening, like a... And then it plays.
Hold on. You can't hear that.
Who said, I listened to the soundtrack of Labyrinth yesterday. I love Labyrinth soundtrack.
Okay.
We can't really hear it.
Could you hear that awful, really loud music?
No, can you put it up to your mic?
Okay. No. I just wanted to... I'll adjust it and I will put it up.
Can you play
I'm
on...
wondering if I just take off my earphone and then I'll play it. Then that might work.
That might work.
Hold on. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Is that audible?
Kind of.
Okay. I will turn it up a lot and I'll just play. I'll play the.
What key is
I
that?
will play the eavesdropping piece and I'll just won't say anything and I'll just let it play really loud.
Yes, I remember this. Something like that. It's so can we pause that for a sec?
Yeah.
And let's ask you about it. So
Okay.
what do you love so much about that particular theme, I
Okay.
guess?
Well, I as it goes on, like I don't really listen to the whole song because there's a part of the song where it gets to be a bit too bright.
Yeah, the middle section I noticed went to the major key or whatever.
Yeah, but the first part I like because, I don't know, I do like the accordion in it.
Interesting.
I like, that yeah, it kind of
It's actually in 3/4 or 6/8.
is it?
I think 3/4. 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 da. So maybe this does need to be in 3/4 or 7 or 6 or some weird time signature.
because it still keeps moving. It's still positive. It doesn't get too scary or sad
Yeah.
or tense.
You feel like my voice is a little bit low? Yeah. Probably just when Julie was talking, but I don't talk too loud. Bill Kuhn recognized that song. Nobody else? David Bowie from Labyrinth. As the World Falls Down, I think is the song. Anyway. So what you have here is a 3/4 piece in a minor key that uses roughly only the 1, 4, and 5 chords. So that would be information normally I would take. I just still feel like even that one, like you said, it goes to a kind of a happy-ish thing that doesn't really work later. I feel like I got to do some more research, to be honest. And this is another thing that I could share. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for coming back. I do a lot of research on stuff that I'm working on. So like I've been working on a lot of different projects lately. One is The Empire of Sin, which I was going to show some of at some point in this stream, but we're already over 2 hours in. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that today, maybe a couple weeks. Although I kind of feel like maybe we should, because it perfectly illustrates what we're talking about here. But I think I want to do research on this, because what I love to do is research the time period, research the music from that era, see what works, see what doesn't work, see where I can kind of break the rules and break the mold in terms of, can I use some things that may not have been around in 1914? The answer is yes, but I have to be careful doing that, because we don't want to remove the immersion. We want to add to the immersion. So we're not sitting and trying to be 100% period accurate with all the music. Otherwise, we'd be using like all classical instruments, I would think, or player piano style stuff. But I think you can cheat a little bit in terms of what you do, but you have to be real careful. So what I would do, what I want to do is more research. I want to listen to some investigative type things. Not necessarily all games either. I could go movies. I could go TV shows. Where am I thinking right off the top of my head? Well, you said Father Brown.
Yes. There was a BBC series that was set in the 1950s.
Okay.
And the intro music is very very nice. It's like very much the tone.
Yeah. Wouldn't be using the MT32. Well, yeah, no, they're not going to use that. Sherlock Holmes, that'd be a good one. I was also thinking of like Poirot. I was thinking of the Rockford,
all those old ones.
Rockford Files, Murder, She Wrote.
That'd be great, yeah.
Any of those? There's another Canadian cop show that I loved that I couldn't remember the name of it, that I wrote on my Facebook a long time ago when I was talking about weird shows that nobody's watched. Davor says, kind of reminds me how Castlevania will sneak in a lot of rock type chords into classical sounding pieces. Well, the thing is, that works. Like, anyway, yeah, that stuff works, because I think that game, they're kind of like, they're mixing those two genres, like metal. Like if you look at metal records, like the cover every metal record cover looks like it could be a video game cover, right? Pretty much, like art back in the day for like.
Hmm.
Let's see. Maybe not the front of this, but that guy's picture, he could be a metal. He could be the cover of a metal record, right? What else? Not that one. Well, I mean, these guys love metal. That's, the Romero thing factor. This could be a metal album for sure, right? Well, Doom, of course. There's another metal album for you.
I love that art. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I'm just showing off. Yeah, a little bit. But what good is all this stuff if you can't show it off, right? Yeah, I mean that's kind of the vibe of it. Buck Rogers Countdown to Doomsday. I have it. Well, there's Matrix Cubed. I don't think that one looks like as a metal of a cover, but I have.
Matrix Cubed.
This is the second Buck Rogers game. So if
Oh
you
my
know anything
gosh.
about these games, these are actually like considered like Dungeons and Dragons gold box games, but they're not.
Those gold box games have amazing art too. But
Yeah, they have good cover art, good fantasy rock
yep.
cover art. Well, and then this is the most recent. Do I have this upside down? Yeah, that's the cover of Sigil, which is also this is Doom 1 episode 6. What is this? 5? 5 or 6? I can't remember. But this is recently released, and I have that, and then up there is the collector's edition. Oh, and then this.
Of course.
That is literally a metal album, right? Who did the soundtrack to this?
Hmm. I know the answer because Dan keeps telling me, but does the chat know?
I know Brandon's gonna know. Yep. Yep. Everybody knows. No, actually, John and Brenda didn't give me any of these. I bought all the copies of all the stuff that I have. Although I got a lot of it signed last year when I met them. But now it's kind of heartbreaking because of what's going on. It looks like Empire of Sin is going to be released, and the team won't be back in the building before it's released. So it's possible some of those team members won't be working at the company by the time they all go back into the office. So I won't be able to get any of that stuff, physical stuff, signed by all the team, because I would obviously I'd love to have Brenda and John sign it, but I'd love to have the whole team sign it. I want the artists to sign it. I want the designers to sign it. Ian and all right. Let me lead into my ending little piece. I told you I was gonna do it, so let me do it because we're already way into this dang stream, and we did get somewhere, even if we didn't get exactly our final product on what we wanted. But let me play you guys. I'm going to play you guys a little piece of Empire of Sin, which is from their stream. You can watch. Paradox is going to be doing more live streams on their channel, Paradox Interactive. I usually host them when they're streaming, but I'll play you guys some of the music, and we can talk a little bit about what I was doing here and some of the research I did, and then some of the process, which is almost identical to what we're doing here, except the music is a little bit different. So let's go here. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of introduction, this is I think actually this video is edited properly to give you that introduction.
Hello, everyone.
So Empire of Sin is...
Let me stop this and set this up real quick. Right here in the corner, let's see if I can put a mouse on. There's Brenda Romero. She is the lead designer of the game, and the owner and the CEO of Romero Games, and the reason I am working on the game. This is Jimmy. I don't really know who he is, but I think he's one of the guys that works for Paradox as one of the main streamers. And this is Ian O'Neill. He also works for Romero Games, and he is the lead combat designer. And they're awesome. Brenda's pretty much the reason I'm doing anything in video games at all. So I owe her a lot.
First of all, we're going to Chicago. It's 1920. It's and Prohibition has just started. So this isn't the greatest time if you like having a casual drink or two, but it is a fantastic time if you are a criminal because there's a lot of money to be made. So in Empire of Sin, your goal is to build a criminal empire built on booze and money and rackets and, not surprisingly, sin. So that's the high-speed beginning of the high-speed, I guess, overview of the game. And your goal is to be the last, your goal is to be the king or queen of Chicago. All right, so
that's just the intro of the game. Yeah, Deluxe Tux. Establish a niche where I don't do anything post-rubbish. The funny thing is, all the music that I've done up until this point is all like electronic music, hip-hop, dance, pop. It has zero to do with jazz and stuff, but I played a lot of jazz music, but nothing this early usually. So I had to do a lot of research. So anyway, Brenda just introduced you to what the game is, and now they're showing, and what you've heard, the music that you've heard, I actually did not compose. There's another composer working on the game, but I didn't do any of this. You're barely even going to be able to hear what I did in this game, but I'll show it to you and talk a little bit about it.
So Frankie's just got his welcome to.
Oh, you'll hear my music right as this transitions.
City gives you a chance to know a bit about Frankie and decide how you wanna start off your empire. Okay, so we're just going to skip the tutorial. All right, so I was mentioning before, you have different rackets in the game. Ian, if you just hover over one of those there. So if we're looking at like speed.
So this is actually music that I did in the game, and this is where you're starting in the game. This is what the beginning of the game looks like. So what I did is considered an underscore for this part of the game. And I don't know how much I can talk about it, but I did the music in this section. So I'll tell you about that. And it's funny. Oh, thanks, Classic Gamers Guild. Enjoy. Thank you for coming and hanging out. And the Davor. So yeah, how does one get picked up for a radically different genre than what's experiencing? Well, yeah. So somebody asked me, I think, how do you get into video game music? I said, well, if you want to follow my path, you could spend 8 years in hip hop, 8 years in Jamaican dance hall, and then all of a sudden, randomly, you'll be doing video games that are pre-1930. No, I have no idea. That's the answer. I have no idea. Just relationships, I would say, because I actually met and started working with Brenda through collecting big box PC games, and that's how I eventually connected with Julia. Even though she's not a heavy PC game collector, but that's how we connected. So anyway, I don't even know if you can hear the music in this.
That depending on what the racket is, it has its earnings. It might make more than average rackets. Its upkeep could be higher.
There's my bad edit in my video.
Somebody else has got something.
I thought I edited this out.
We have hired guns, so there's a good collection of people, and they all have an important purpose in the game. So who did you decide to hire? You've got Frankie.
I hired Baby Brute. Baby Brute is who I hired. So
okay.
Yeah, you're not really going to be able to hear the music because it's really quiet. It's quiet in the game, and it's also At least this music is. It's quiet in the game, and it's also they're talking way over most of the music here. But the long and short of it is, it's essentially, if you watch this whole stream, you'll hear a lot of it. They'll show you different parts of the city. You can go to different areas in the city. And what I did was a lot of the music in the different parts, in the different city areas. And each city area is a different area. Like you have like Chinatown, you have Little Italy, which is where you start the game. You'll see all this stuff in the stream, but I'll go back to us. And that's it. So my process is almost 100% identical to what I'm doing here, except for the fact that I'm using like a different. What's the best way to say it, Julia? Because it's the same kind of thing like you would do with art. So in Crimson Diamond, Julia's using a 16 color 320 by 200 palette. But if she's hired to do an album cover, she's not going to use that same color palette, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Is that
Although
kind
I
of the way
did
of-
use it for a poster that I did once for a film festival. I did do EGA color.
But it worked. But you were adapting it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't forcing it to be that. So, right? Is that
Well, they basically said I could do whatever I wanted, and I felt like doing an EGA poster, and so I did the EGA. I don't know if it really was. It was, like it's pixel art is kind of trendy anyway, so I feel like that was a kind of okay way to do it.
But you don't have to work in that medium. Like you could
No.
work in whatever. I mean, you make art, so you don't have to make 320 by 200, pixelated 16 color stuff. You can do kind of whatever you want, and you've shown off some of the stuff where you've done different things, right?
Yeah. I've done silk screen printing is where I kind of was doing a lot of freelance illustration. Then I moved to digital with whatever colors you want. Watercolor I've done. So I've done just use whatever.
Right,
Whatever
so
is good for the
that's
job.
exactly kind of what I'm talking about. So imagine I'm using the MT32 is watercolor for the Crimson Diamond, and for Empire of Sin, I have to use mixed media, so oil on canvas and sculpture and magazine cutout collage. Listen, I'm no visual artist at all. But yeah, I went to source material. I definitely went to source material, and references, and I just picked stuff. I just listened. When I heard the little bits of the game, this is way back when, before it was announced and stuff, I didn't even know the name of the game until the trailer, when I saw the trailer on E3. So everybody saw the name of the game at the same time I did. But yeah, that was the research I'm doing. So I'm doing the same kind of research and listening to source material. And thankfully, because the games are so close in time period, I'm able to get away with like doubling up on my research. You know what I mean? There's some EGA metal art.
Well, not technically metal art. It's just stuff that was used in actual games that just has that same kind of look of those game covers. Yeah.
Well, like think about those posters in the Maniac Mansion video arcade. There's there's an Elvis poster in there. There's what else is there? I guess that's not really rock, but there's a bunch of posters in that. There's posters in what's his name's room, in the Green Tentacles room, right?
Yes.
And the speakers and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. So yeah, sorry guys, I know you can't really hear the music.
Yeah, this is a particular game, I think.
If you want to check out that, you can look on Paradox's YouTube, and you can watch some of their upcoming live streams. And I'm still working on a lot of music, so there's a lot of music to be done for the game, and hopefully all of it will get in. And we'll see. So far I have a bunch of songs in there, and I'm just gonna keep plugging away and try to get as many songs in there as I can. And I'm working on this concurrently, and working on other stuff concurrently, believe it or not, too. I did something today for an artist in Italy, and that's totally unrelated. Sweet. Totally unrelated to video games at all. Will there be any reference or a copy of Anne of Green Gables? You know what's funny?
Um,
You could
but
actually write complete text to a book that's in the public domain if you really
yeah.
wanted to. Would that be a great use of your time? Maybe not, but it's possible.
Well, I could probably get like I don't know some kind of like a Word document or PDF and then just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
I suppose. Um, that's funny because yeah, I was Ben Chandler who did the art for he did the art for Shard Light. He does all the art for like Why Did I games. He's a huge reader, and he recently finished reading Anne of Green Gables, which is sort of the classic bit of Canadian literature, and it was written in the early 1900s. So conceivably, it could actually be on a bookshelf in the lodge, and it's really a wonderful book. And the protagonist is yes Anne, who's a redheaded, spunky redheaded girl. And I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be funny if I made like Nancy's middle name Anne or something like that, just as a fun little tribute, because it is such a wonderful book, and it made me want to reread that book.
Isn't there's a bunch of books you could have. Uh, Dracula's in the public domain.
There's a ton. It's funny because
Frankenstein.
one
Frankenstein's
of
a
the
lot
books I
later.
recently read was The Longing. I mean, games I recently played was The Longing, and it has a bunch of books in that game where you could actually go through each book and read them. And there is a Count of Monte Cristo, I think, was in it, and like a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stuff. So yeah, there's a ton that you could put in there if you
Interesting.
really had the inclination.
Has Francisco ever done that? I bet you he's done something like that.
I
He's
don't
probably
know.
stuck some Poe in there or something like that. He would do that.
Yeah, there's some awesome. I don't know if
Wizard of
I would do
Oz,
it myself, but
Alice in Wonderland, Moby Dick, Aesop. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep, Poe.
Mhm.
I made a Harry Potter kind of wizard game that had a bookshelf game. Doesn't Grimm fairy tales? Yeah, that would be cool too. But I think
Mhm.
Anne of Green Gables probably fits the best, right? Or
It would fit. It would fit chronologically. It would fit. It is public domain. I think it's public domain, and yeah, it fits with the thematically, just that feeling and the character.
let's see here. I'm curious now. Little Women, would that one fit in there? I guess that's pretty early. That's a lot earlier.
Chronologically, it would work. I don't know if it would work thematically.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to have a bookshelf full of full text books. Yeah,
Yeah, Anne of
U.S.
Green Gables in 1908. Yeah,
U.S. copyrights usually expire 70 years after
yeah,
the copyright. Yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of times with those books, it would be the edition that's copyrighted. So if you did the first edition, you could probably get
Hmm.
away with it. All Mark Twain's works, and it's the same thing with music too, because um, we could actually use like Scott Joplin
Mm.
songs. We could use classical pieces in the game that were released or were famous around that time if we wanted to, and MT32 them up.
Yeah, Victrola.
Yeah, I mean that was Colonel's Bequest was full of Scott Joplin, right?
Hmm.
There was at least
Hmm.
two. I think there was three, maybe three songs. There's a lot
I
of
feel
stuff
like
like
there's
that.
three
There's
at
three.
least. Yeah.
I know there's Maple Leaf and I know there's The Entertainer, and there might be something else in there.
Yeah, I think there's at least one more.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. But yeah, you can get away with stuff like that, and I think I'm not too sure, but there's quite a few games that do stuff like that, and quite a few Sierra games
Mm.
take little pieces from public domain stuff, you know. And then we pointed out a couple streams ago. We pointed out um, where I kind of felt like they were taking from themselves. Sierra games were taking from other Sierra games,
Yes.
right? We were kind of thinking the Hero's Quest or Quest for Glory theme and the Space Quest 3 theme were that far apart, you know? Warner
Which
Brothers.
it's
Oh,
funny
yeah.
you mentioned that because I recently rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Oh, yeah.
which is John Williams,
Oh, yeah.
and it was released in 1981. And when I was watching it, I'm like, this music sounds a lot like Star Wars music.
You think
It's
so?
funny. Yeah, because like the Marion Ravenwood has like a bit of music associated kind of with
Oh,
the
the Marion
character, and
theme.
it sounded
Yeah.
like Princess Leia
Leia
music.
theme. Yes. Well, interesting. If you go deep into John Williams, and there's plenty of YouTube videos on the subject.
Okay.
You'll see how much he borrowed or stole from Holst and from these other composers that literally the Star Wars stuff is almost identically ripped from these sources, good or bad. I think John Williams is fantastic. I mean, yeah, inspiration from the planets. You could say inspiration. That might be giving John Williams a lot of credit. Good artists copy, great artists steal. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And Brandon said Space Quest 6, King's Quest 7, and Leisure Suit Larry 6 all share music themes that are almost identical and repurposed. Yeah. I mean, listen, Sierra, I don't know how all that stuff was done. I don't know the details of it. Brandon would be a better source of that information than I would. But they probably were on time crunches a lot of the time.
Oh, sure.
They were on budget crunches a lot of the time. And, you know, I would bet that they stretched all their cats thin, meaning like if Mark was doing music for one game, they had him doing sound design for another game at the same time. And I mean, that's how Al Lowe was describing the process. And like they basically, what did he steal? He stole Mark Crow to make Leisure Suit Larry 1 or something like that from Space
You
Quest.
said stretched their cats thin. Is it an actual saying?
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So cats is kind of like a musician's term for other musicians, not cats. It's literal cats. No, I love cats. No. But yeah, I would think they ran their people, I mean, nicely ran their people into the ground. No? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? I could be wrong about that, but I would guess that that's what they did. Like they just made them, you know, just work and work and work and work. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. By the way, you're done with that. Okay, cool. We got this for you. Now go finish this product. Now work on the sound design for this. So a lot of times you're getting scatterbrained, and there's also the fact that you could potentially hear and steal themes from people and not even realizing that you were doing that. You know, because you're just around it so much. I'm sure that took place, judging from Scott Murphy's reminiscing. Yeah, I'm sure it did too, because that's, they weren't making billions and billions of dollars. They made money. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't have the budget to just keep throwing it away and doing all kinds of, what's the sound design stuff? They kill the people on Skyrim. I used to be an adventurer like you until I took an arrow in the knee, and how many times are you going to hear that in that game? But that's another story anyway. Yeah, use the Leisure Suit Larry theme for King Graham. Well, actually, the Leisure Suit Larry theme was Al Lowe wrote the original one, because he's a saxophone player and he still holds rehearsals and previous to this, was still holding rehearsals and playing himself, as I understand it. And as I've said before in one of the streams, one of my dang goals is to play music with him. I don't care what tune it is. Mark,
you don't even know how to play the Leisure Suit Larry theme.
No, I'll have to learn it, but it won't. It won't take me long. It won't take me long. I read pretty well, so I could probably do it. Quest for Glory sounds awfully close to it too. Yeah, that definitely does. But also, those both sound like Superman or Star Wars to me. So. For one of my best college buzz is friends with Al. Well, Al lives in Seattle, and that's where I'm from. My family all still lives there. So one day I'll get out there and hopefully meet him. You got to meet him. Didn't you get to meet him last year? Or was it?
Yeah, I met him at
PAX West?
PAX West, but I didn't really get a chance to talk to him because he was just when Al goes anywhere like that is related to computer games, he's going to be surrounded by a ton of people who love his games, obviously, and so it can be hard to even get a chance to talk to him. So I didn't actually get a chance to talk to him, but I did get to be around him and see him and watch him on the panel, which that was really cool.
Well, there was some stars at that dang Sierra party.
Yeah.
You had both the Coles, right? You had Douglas Herring.
Yep, the artist of the Chronos Bequest, so that was so cool to meet him.
You had Josh Mandel.
Yep.
You had Al Lowe. You had Metal Jesus Rocks, who worked at Sierra too. Oh yeah, Brandon was there too.
Yeah, Brandon was there.
Brandon
Dave Gilbert, Francisco Gonzalez.
Was Anna there?
Anna was there.
Anna
Yeah.
was Jess there as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Jess
See,
was there
look at
too.
all
Anna
these
was there,
people,
Jess,
man.
Rick.
Which Sierra party? Well, it's a Sierra party. It was in Seattle around PAX West. It was basically just for employees, essentially. She would be disappointed if I couldn't read. Connie's my mother.
Aww.
But yeah, the opening of Space Quest 1 VGA sounds amazing pattern after Superman 1 theme by John. Yeah, so they're the same. I mean, the Space Quest 1 theme is the same on both games. It's just better orchestrated, I guess. Yep, Drunken Master Paul was there. Yep. I think, or at least I think he was. Kevin, my buddy Kevin was there, who I know from Seattle. But these aren't all Sierra employees. These are just people that we know at this point. But yeah, that's it's a lot of this stuff is in look, it's inspiration, it's researched, and then it's almost like how does your brain interpret all the information that you've thrown into it into music or into art or into whatever you're doing, right? So like Julia's taking all the games and things that she knows about and putting them into, I mean, not all of them, but she's putting in the ones that fit into the Crimson Diamond. So it's, while it looks very much like a Sierra game that was released in 1989, it was not, and it will have plenty of things that wouldn't have been possible and wouldn't have happened and will be completely different from that. Just
Yes.
because of, it's just basically influence. So I mean, I think we can't kill people even if John Williams took stuff, and even if Mark Crow took stuff, or Seabird or whoever. You know, I mean, listen, I totally agree with Brandon when he says, you know, good composers borrow, great composers steal. I agree. You know, just don't get caught. No. No. It's all good. So I don't know. Yeah, Robo's theme from Chrono Trigger. Interestingly enough, we have Brandon here. Can we ask him? I heard some Final Fantasy style, Square Enix style music that happens in the Mage's Initiation theme. I hear it's not exactly it, but there's some theme. There's a little part where he has this. What does it do? Let me see if I can play it. Call up the thing again. Yep, that was it right there. Right at this point where the music changes. That's Square Enix battle music to me. Right, exactly. And it says, yes, I was going for that vibe. So good, it worked. He did exactly what I want. But he didn't steal it. He just put me in that theme, right? He just gave me that as a listener or as a consumer of games for a long time. He put me in that frame of mind, just in that little section. But before that, that wasn't the case. Here it almost has like a Disney vibe in a way, in a good way. Then we're into Square Enix. And then we transition again.
Oh, he's giving it all up now, Brandon.
Yeah, but I don't hear, to be honest, I don't hear Zelda, well, at least not in the theme, maybe in the whole game. I don't hear Zelda, Doom, Duke 3D, Warcraft. I don't hear any of these in this theme. This part. I have the soundtrack somewhere. I'm not sure if it's on this computer or not, but believe it or not, you guys are gonna laugh at me. My bedtime is coming up. So I'm going to have to jump off of this stream very soon because, believe it or not, I wake up at like, I try to get up at 5:30 in the morning, but I don't usually get up that early.
Art preview.
Oh, yes. Let's do that before we do that. But I get up really early to compose because that's the only free time I really get. Oh, where is it? Yes, it's right here. Hold on. I almost forgot. I can't do that. I'm going to show you guys what we are working on. Sorry, what Julia is going to be showing next week on the stream at 8 p.m.
Yep. Yeah, so this might look familiar because we started the game a few times when we were showing the eavesdropping stuff, but these are just stills of the introductory sequence of the game. These are just, the bits of art that I'm thinking that I probably need to upgrade at some point. So the next art stream will be me taking, one or two of these images and fixing them up so they look like they should look. They should look like the rest of the art in the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's very, this is me just kind of storyboarding and just getting everything down that I want to get down. But I do want to. It eventually needs to get upgraded to the quality of the rest of the stuff. So that's my plan for next week, and who knows, maybe the weeks following. So in a way, I'll be kind of killing two birds with one stone. I'll be streaming, but then I'll also
we'll be working
get
on the
to do
game.
some work. Yeah, exactly.
I love this one. Hold on, I just saw it. Even though this is so, can I ask you where the inspiration for this train station is from?
That is a historic photo of Union Station in Toronto, actually.
Really? And what year was it from?
It would have been, I guess, around the early 1900s. It would have been around the time when Nancy would take the train.
Interesting, because I used to spend, before craziness, I used to spend a lot of time in Europe, and that looks, I think, like Germany to me. It looks like I want to say, I'm trying to think of which station. Probably Hamburg. I don't know if anybody's in Germany over there, but those, trains are just, everybody, obviously, everybody rides trains up in Europe. Yeah, it could definitely, right? Could pass for a few train stations.
I think I have the reference photo somewhere, so maybe if I ever do get around to working on that one, I'll share the photo.
Well, all of these are pretty cool because I would love to see I would love to see some of them come to life. Like that one's kind of interesting too because those are like the faces are already kind of finished, no?
Well, yeah, those I just reused them from the portraits, the speech portraits.
But you're gonna switch it. But you're gonna swap it around at some point. Oh, look at this.
Kisai Tenshi has a picture of Union Station. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay,
yes,
how do I share
exactly.
this? How do I share this picture on? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I'm totally. Can you share it? Your screen? I don't know. That's definitely it. That is definitely
yes, that's exactly the one. That's awesome.
literally
Thank you. Okay, let me see if I can share that. I'll share my screen.
Oh, I guess
I can do
could
this.
on the other computer.
Turn on screen share.
Oh, but I don't have the link.
Here it is. Hold on. That's awesome. Thank you for doing the work for me.
That's totally great. That's totally great. Well, there you go.
There she goes.
But and it's interesting. Let's go back to let's go back to yours, and let's see what artistic liberties you took.
None.
Well, I mean,
that's great.
Look, these buildings and stuff in the background, which were not there, right? Or if they are there, you can't really see them. Oops, what the hell am I doing? There we go. Oh, no, you're gone.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Some liberties with the three wheels. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I like that. And how long does it take you to scratch out one of these like demo ones?
I don't know how long. That one probably didn't take me that long because I was just like looking, going boop, boop, boop. I don't know if I don't think I traced it. It looks too bad for me to have traced it. I just think I eyeballed it.
Okay,
And,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but because the thing is as what happens with a lot with when you're developing something is it's fine when it lives in your head and it's very mutable, like it's very changeable. So I felt like I had to get the introductory sequence down like visually and like put it together in a sequence so that I could commit to it. Otherwise, I could change it in my head, and then the stuff that happens in the game, I felt like I couldn't cement that stuff until I had established this stuff first. And that's kind of why I did it. And then and when they started developing the game, where I just kind of felt like I can just leave the introductory sequence as it is for the time being, and I'll go back to it eventually. And I guess this is the time to go back to it and actually
That's awesome.
refine it.
I'm looking forward to it, even though I
Oh
have
no,
no idea.
Kisa Tenchi says the photo's from 1927.
Well, there's another artistic liberty we're taking right there. There's another train shot later. I think we missed the end of this. I don't think I showed all the end of this, did I?
Oh, I don't know.
I want to make sure we get to see all the preview. Oh yeah, see that one you can tell there's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah, but that was the inside of Union Station, and like I was looking, or A Station, I think.
This one?
And I don't know. I'm on a bit of a delay, so I can't tell which one you're looking. But that's an interior train. But I don't think I was looking at it. I think actually I was looking at it in particular, but you kind of really have to modify it when it's seen like that. And
awesome.
The tree scene is just a tree scene.
Awesome. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. And then therefore saying he can hear the Amon-Ra music playing in his head for some of these, and that's true. And that's another example where we're talking about how I'm taking a lot of adventure games and kind of combining them in a way to make my own thing, because both the Laura Bow games, the Colonel's Bequest and the Dagger of Amon-Ra, they both start with a journey. They start with a journey into the place where you're going to be for most of the game. And so I did take my inspiration from that. Particularly with the train, Dagger of Amon-Ra, you start, with the train, you get on the train, then you end up in New York, and you lose your luggage along the way. And it's sort of it's an idea that is in the game, but it's a very classic setup. And it's kind of, in a way, paying tribute, but in a way, it's, just me saying, this knowledge that I've got, just in my subconscious sometimes even. Because there will be times when I'm watching people play it or I'm testing parts, and there's certain inventory items that seem to really reoccur in Sierra games, and I'll find that I've done those same inventory items. So it's kind of all over the place, really.
Not just the blue cup.
Yes, not just the blue cup. A bunch of the more when you see more of the game, you'll see some of the stuff that I've realized I've put in without even knowing, like stuff from King's Quest. Even like there'll be an inventory item from King's Quest, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's true, that was in King's Quest, and I'm using it here.
The lantern.
Oh yes, the lantern. Yeah, it's almost required, isn't it? Oh good, there's other photos from 1873 for the Union Station. Okay, good to know.
The length of rope, yeah. Jeez.
Right, Dan has to go to bed. He's turning into a pumpkin.
Says you gotta have players wake up in a dungeon at some point. Yeah, they have to be a prisoner. They have to be a prisoner to begin the game to become the whatever they're gonna become in an Elder Scrolls game. I don't know. Did you play any of those Elder Scrolls games?
I played Morrowind. I played Oblivion, and Daggerfall. Yeah.
Oh, so you played quite a few.
I did. I've never finished one ever.
I finished Skyrim and I finished Morrowind, but I think I finished Oblivion too. Morrowind is my favorite, even in its brokenness. I love its beautiful brokenness.
I love Daggerfall because it's so pixely.
I have actually never played Daggerfall. Oblivion was my least favorite by far. Weirdly, I
think Morrowind was probably the one that was the least broken and one that I probably played the most.
Oh, it was the most broken, no?
Morrowind?
Yeah.
Daggerfall was super crazy broken.
The damn cliff racers. Every 2 seconds you're attacked by a cliff racer, and that sound is awful. Apparently the Daggerfall map is the size of Great Britain. Yeah, something like that. They said Morrowind is
Morrowind is.
It's broken. But it's awesome still. It's like awesome in its brokenness. I don't know. It was just like, it also choked my computer. It like took its foot and put it on the neck of my computer and just sat on it the whole time. And it was like, okay, you're not going to do this. Everything they make
Mhm.
is broken. I don't know. I like those games. I get lost in,
Yeah, me too.
in a good way. I don't know, but XCOM also. So and Empire of Sin as well.
Mhm.
Even adventure games, to be honest, because Quest for Glory 1, I could replay any day of the week, like, and be any year, and be happy
Mhm.
about it. I don't know. Do you replay older adventure games still? Besides just trying to
I
forward your way through Colonel's Bequest.
Yeah, like that's something I did because I like to go and just look in the house and experience it and just be there. But I don't know, maybe I'll do a stream where I kind of speed run it or something. Just show the 4 commands you can type in. And yeah,
That's
I think someone in chat said
hilarious.
2 of them would be opening the playhouse door is 2 of the commands. So
That's crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Well, anyway, let me thank everybody for tuning in and watching and hanging out with us, because without you guys, it's really just us talking to ourselves. And we're still
mhm.
kind of doing that, but at least I feel like it's like a nice shared experience when we can't really be in person together. And some of us,
Yeah.
for the fact that we don't live anywhere near each other, a lot of us. So I really enjoyed everybody being here. I really want to thank Brandon Bloom for joining us and hanging out for the whole dang time. It's awesome.
Mhm.
And letting us share his music. And uh, let's put his links in one more time. But definitely check out his games. Mage's Initiation is an awesome game if you don't own it already. Thanks, Rude Dog 2000, right back at you, bro. Um, yeah, that's an awesome game. Summer Days at Hero U is not out yet. I'm not sure if they have a release date, but check that one out when it comes out. And then there's some other stuff you can check out on brandonbloom.com. Some other music that he's done, and some other. I don't know if there's other
Yeah, I've
game
got
stuff that you've done as well. Nice. There's the link. And of course, the reason we're all here, the Crimson Diamond. Check out thecrimsondiamond.com.
Mhm.
Check out Wishlist if you don't have it. Grab the demo off Steam and itch.io or itch.io, whatever you prefer. It is there. It is available.
Both.
Download it, play it. It's free for the time being because it's the demo, and then it will be released on the release date. Not a day before,
Yes.
not a day after. But
Yes.
on the day it's released, it will be released and available.
Yes. Promised. Promise.
And when we know that exact day, we'll tell you the release date. So I really want to thank everybody for coming, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this stream, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this game. And we'll get there. Okay, cool. So Brandon said not a lot of game stuff, but oh yes, the Redux from King's Quest 3 and Space Quest 2, and Mages, and some small stuff. Silver Balls is a game. Short Person. Oh, that's cool. Duke 3D Engine. Yeah, great. And make sure that you subscribe if you haven't to my Twitch, Julia's Twitch, and if you want to watch the replay of this will be on uh, youtube.com/Julia Minamata. Is that right?
Yeah, I got the link.
C.
Yeah.
Yes.
C
There's the link.
/C/ yeah.
And I think the
Julia Minamata.
replay, it saves the replay on this channel for a little while as well. But the full replay will be on Julia's channel, all 3 dang hours of it.
Yeah, somehow we got there. We got here. I don't know.
Oh, we're sick individuals, but that's okay. We enjoyed it. Thank you guys all for watching. And we will see you well, I won't see you next week, but I'll probably chat with you next week, and Julia will see you guys next week.
Yeah, see you next week for art stream for an
Yeah.
actual introductory art stuff.
That's going to be awesome.